That's another kind of newfound voice and confidence that you're talking about, this personal empowerment to be able to see, I like this and I'm doing well at it and I'm thriving. That's an empowerment feeling. And so I see that. I see them taking on new skills. They're willing to take that risk. They're willing to try. And you clearly have that. I love hearing this. And your daughter's only 11. I mean, to
Mhm.
you, she's older,
Yeah.
but to many of our listeners, she is only 11.
Mhm.
And she has this personal empowerment. So these kids and these teens and hopefully adults, as they've overcome SM and overcoming it, you see that empowerment, that risk taking, that willingness, that confidence, that independence.
Mhm.
So I love that. And also academics. I see kids fly, they may have been at grade level, some even struggling a little bit because of that confidence, the anxiety. But when you really are addressing through proper accommodations, interventions, if there are some whatever it might be, learning challenges, etc., their academics improve because they're thriving better. They're able to do it. The teachers know how to accommodate them. The same with career goals and paths. They're more willing to try things and they're making these leaps. And I just see these individuals over time. At our Communicamp, one of the things we do on the second day is the parent panel and the kind of kid overcame SM panel. It's like hearing their voices, and they come on there, and our families that are coming to Communicamp love it because they're on a panel, whether they're virtual or they're sitting there, and they've overcome it. And you hear these incredibly articulate individuals. And recently, one of my prior patients I saw when she was 5, I used to joke with them, or they would joke with, she was like Cousin It, remember, with the hair in front
Yeah.
of your face? Well,
Mhm.
that's how I met her, and hiding under the table with her long, gorgeous hair. Now you know, she's in Harvard Law School and so articulate and so verbal and so confident and travels all over the world for different adventures through her work and things like that. And I'm listening to her, remembering what she was like. So having overcome this early for our listeners that have young children or early teens, like, don't wait. Like, sometimes you go on these forums, which for me are really hard sometimes because you'll see my daughter's 13 years old and what do I do? And they're asking parents on a forum. Go to an expert, go to somebody that knows how to support you to really navigate treatment. Yes, you have all the good, you're gathering your resources. I get it, but don't wait. Like, find someone that understands so that your child can gain those skills. You can be trained, teachers can be trained and overcome it. Like, you can overcome this. There is no reason for someone not to. And so the hope is from this podcast is yes, you can overcome it, but you need to get the treatment.
Right.
You need to have this addressed. Don't you agree?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And it shifts, when our kids are little, it is a lot of the parents that are there to support them and guide them and find the different opportunities to, overcome some challenges. But then there's that shift, the preteen teens. There's a distance that naturally happens between our kids and parents because they're now starting their own independence towards, their own adulthood. And so for my teen clients especially, it seems like they want outside help. They don't necessarily want their parents involved in every little thing they're doing. They like having that somebody who's not connected to the family they can open up to and really strategize. And that's what I try to focus on is, for these teens, it's simply where do you want to sit in the classroom? Let's start there. What will make you feel good if in that situation? And what small steps can we work on to get you to that point of overcoming SM? And again, just letting parents know it's okay. This is a natural part of growing up is you find those social connections outside the home. And so, we want to support our kids where they're at. So instead of like, well, did you do this? Did you do that? You should do this. Why don't you do that? It's, hey, what would you like to do today? Do you want to go on a walk? Do you want to watch a show? Do you want to cook a meal with me? Finding those ways of connecting at that level with the preteens, the teens, and then letting that professional get into the nitty gritty because they're going, from my experience, they're going to open up more because there's not that emotional connection of, well, I have to do what my parents say. They're going to be mad if I tell them the wrong thing or, um, you know, I don't know comes up a lot. Like, what do you want to do? I don't know.
And building that independence and giving them that kind of choice and empowerment is important because, this is an insecurity for many, and we learn that when we talk to these kids is that they see their other kids in their room, in their classroom thriving, going up to other kids, answering questions, raising their hand. And, that's not a great confidence builder to feel that you can't do that. So this self doubt can be lingering. And as you go through therapy, finding these areas of strong interest that they will find their friends. As you get older, you find your people on your areas of interest. When you're a little guy, mommy and daddy can set up get-togethers and play dates and things like that,
Right.
and just baking and doing art projects and playing with Legos is good enough for
Yep.
many. But as
Mhm.
they age, it's finding these areas to build that. And one thing that you did say that I see all the time is as kids get older through the preteen, teen years, they tend to be you tend to see less progress with parents present. That where they start to really blossom is when they're away from their parents. Not that their parents aren't loving or that they don't love their parents. It's that they sometimes see themselves a certain way around their parents. They have that fear of positive evaluation. If I do this now, what are you going to expect of me? The parents
Mhm.
may jump in and save them, which is why parent education is so critical to
Mhm.
be able to teach them how not to do some things, but how to kind of retrain them in terms of how to engage their child. And a lot of these parents letting go is really hard. They've had to like, you know what I mean? We both get that, right? We just wanna hold them, hug them, and hopefully they don't feel any discomfort ever in life, but they've gotta get out there and do things, and it's and l relying on that treatment professional to hold your hand as you navigate this, but allowing them those times away from you to blossom because life after SM is they are growing up and they are becoming independent and learning that. So, I think that's important. So, let's talk about some strategies for thriving post SM. And we did touch on it a lot in what we've talked about, you know, some strategies of knowing mindfulness works, like you were discussing yourself. Like you don't have SM, but the deep breaths, all of that will work for any sort of anxiety, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, just checking in with our kiddos, noticing those subtleties, and especially for like our daughter starting a new school year, like what do you need? So I could tell her till I'm blue in the face that anytime you need a break, you can go. If you need to go to the nurse's office, you can go. If you need to do this or that, you can do that. But coming from me, it means nothing. So I have to say to the teacher, please tell my daughter if she needs to use the bathroom, she can just go. And so they'll say, you can go to the bathroom anytime you need. And it's like, poof, magic. She knows. So those little things really do matter. And again, I think as a parent, like I mentioned before, just being open with your own issues. I don't, air all my things on my kids, but it is important, I think, to be like, hey, I was driving on the road and somebody cut me off and I got so frustrated and angry and this is what my body was feeling. But then I remembered like I need to get home safe because I value you guys and I want to be home for you. I don't need to chase this person down the road and modeling that for them so that, again, our kids when they're little, they see us as these superheroes and we can do no wrong and we're perfect and we're not. So my kids are starting to realize that like mommy struggles, daddy struggles, we all struggle and that's okay. We're going to work together to find that support.
I love that, and, that is exactly how I've raised my children. I never was, like, presented a perfect image of myself. So when I had worries or fears, or I was sad, I like you said, I didn't unload everything, although they say, "Actually, mom, you did." No, but what I was gonna say was, I let them know when I felt nervous or scared. I let them know when I was anxious about something in a realistic way so that it was okay for them to feel it. One thing I deal with a lot in my practice are kids that have a bit of a perfectionistic way of being. And
Mhm.
sometimes when I really talk with the families, some of these families have this like way where they don't show their own imperfections and
Mhm.
difficulties. So when the children are struggling, they're afraid to take risks because mommy never has this difficulty, daddy never has this difficulty. Like, they're never nervous, they're never anxious, so they don't wanna show it. And so I do think it's important as parents that we're open and we share. And so that's another thing, Kelly, that we have in common. And I also feel like now that my children are all adults, it's fostered such a great relationship with them to be open and real with them over the years where, I hate this statement and this is completely off topic and I'm sorry, but I have to say it. They'll say things like, you shouldn't be friends with your child. And I think that's hogwash. It's about mentoring, it's about coaching, it's about being there, it's about supporting, it's about sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience. But yeah, I'm friends with all 4 of my children. They're my best friend.